my skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Life Gorgeous. My name's Craigers. This is where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. And a real treat for me today, a guest I've read for years, but never met until now, Jim Souhan, Minneapolis Star-Tribune sports columnist since 1990. So that's either 35 or 36 years.
36 years. When you put it like that, my God. By the way, why did this take us so long? I mean, I
don't know.
your career, and I was you're in Minnesota, and I should have reached out to you at some point.
I heard you're in a rock band locally in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Is that true?
True. Play mostly funerals. Fewer people leave.
But
yeah.
Okay, I got to think. What instrument do you play?
Guitar.
And you do a bunch of covers, right? You're not original.
We're
stuff?
A cover band. We are not an original band. We just go to bars and play stuff people like to dance to.
Any Casey and the Sunshine Band?
No, but in recent years, we've started adding some disco-ish songs that we kind of put a rock spin on. We do a Cake. We do the Gloria Gaynor song that Cake covered. I Will Survive. That's a great song, the way they do it. And we do kind of a rock version of Staying Alive. But most of it is, we try to do a lot of stuff people have heard it before and maybe do a little bit of twist on it.
So I love live music. I go out near Palm Springs. They have a lot out in Palm Springs and all the surrounding areas. They have so much live music. And I love piano bars in big cities in LA and San Francisco. And I do like to request songs. And then they'll be playing Sinatra at a piano bar, and I'll say, play Careless Whisper as a joke, and they'll play it, and I'll watch the reaction of the people. But if you say you play rock and roll, I'm just going to name some obscure Driver's Seat, Sniffing the Tears. You ever heard that song?
I have not heard that song, but now I have to look it up.
How about Eddie Money? You play any Eddie Money?
We actually do. Oh my God, what's this? His biggest hit? I'm blanking on it just because.
Two Tickets to Paradise?
2 Tickets to Paradise. And we did it at first as almost like kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Right.
But, then you play it and you go, what? That's a pretty good rock song. Let's just play it and not make fun of it.
Yeah. And how often do you play? Have a gig?
It's really sporadic. We played like 6 times this summer, and I don't know if we'll ever play again because booking gigs is a job.
Yeah.
And I don't like that job. So, we play more in the summer than we do during the winter. Sometimes it's sporadic during the winter. Fewer places have live music. So we'd like to play a little bit more than we play now, but we also don't want it to be feel like a job. It's something we do just for fun.
Right. I read today, I did a little research, that you're a member of the Baseball Association of America.
No, I am a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America because I was a baseball writer for a long time. And once you get in, you kind of stay in, which I'm not sure is a great thing.
Right.
I'm not a very active member, though. And it's not because I don't admire a million baseball writers, and they're the hardest working people. They do incredible work. I'm just not that into it. And I also, at some point in my career, stopped thinking that I should be voting for awards because I would walk into a clubhouse and be like, okay, I'm voting for an award that's going to determine whether that guy gets a $100,000 bonus or not. I'm not sure that's the way journalism should work here.
Right. But does it mean, because I didn't know until today when I saw that, is that your expertise, baseball?
It's weird in this market because everybody considers themselves a Vikings person or a football person.
Yeah.
The fact that I was a baseball writer for a long time and that I wrote a lot of historical stuff back then, the way we traveled, there was one year I spent 180 days on the road. Spring training, every Twins road game,
right?
Road playoffs, winter meetings, everything else. So I think I became identified in this market as a baseball person, which is half true. I also came to Minnesota to cover football, and I probably covered more football than baseball, but there are fewer people you can identify as a baseball person in the market.
So Kreger's is not a baseball fan, but I like to think about things. And I was very proud of the Twins winning 2 World Series. And my father was an enormous baseball fan. Wanted my brother and I to play baseball, but we took to basketball. But he taught us one thing. My dad was born in Queens, grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey. I'm going to ask you a question. Is Willie Mays one of the top 2 greatest players of all time?
See, I have always thought Willie Mays was the greatest all-around player.
That's what my dad taught me. I just was saying, I didn't want to push it. So I said, maybe Babe Ruth, and he can still be number 1 if he's in the top 2,
So Babe was the most transformational player in baseball history.
Right.
Because before Babe Ruth, it was people choking up and trying to punch singles to the opposite field and trying to, bunt, run. Babe Ruth changed the face of baseball. He changed the way the game's played. He changed the glamour level of the sport by making the home run such a big deal. And he did it in New York City, which popularized the sport across the nation. But Willie Mays was one of the greatest center fielders of all time, one of the greatest fielders of all time. Babe Ruth hit all those home runs, but he had the short right field porch in the Yankee Stadium. If he got it in the air, it was going out.
Right.
He also didn't have to face black pitchers or Latin American pitchers or right fielders who might jump over the fence and get, Then he had, and Willie Mays was one of the greatest fielders of all time. He hit 650 home runs, whatever the total was, playing in the Polo Grounds and in Candlestick Park, which did not favor right-handed hitters. So his ability, if he had played at Fenway Park, he would have hit like 800 home runs.
Yeah.
He was incredibly fast. He could steal as many bases as he wanted to.
Right.
He had an incredible arm. He showed up big in big moments. I just, now we have a different debate now with Ohtani doing what he's doing. Nobody's ever done what he's done before. But I think to date, Willie Mays is, for me, the greatest baseball player of all time.
I love it. Yeah. And I was trying to think. My dad thought he got overshadowed by Yastrzemski and Ted Williams, excuse me. Ted Williams. And then because Henry Aaron had the home run record, that he got overshadowed. Okay. Next question. I've got a lot of fun ones. Do negative columns do better than positive columns? If you praise a coach or a player, is that do better, or is it when you rip somebody?
I think the way we're all wired, negative drives engagement more than positive. Mm-hmm. I just think people are going to have a visceral gut reaction to a negative column.
Right.
God, somebody finally said it. Oh, you are a complete jackass. There's always going to be a very simple emotional response to a negative column. Positive column, you go, well, I don't know. Was he just kissing up to the guy? Was he okay? Right. Yeah, he's writing nice today, but next week he might rip him. Okay. He just, he wasn't sure. There's a lot more subtlety in a positive column, I think. Negative columns do work, but here's the catch. If you write negative columns for effect, that's eventually going to expose itself as a plot instead of you writing what you actually believe. If you write nothing but negative, it's going to get really old. So while I do believe that negative columns probably get more engagement than positive columns, it's not like you can play that stupid game. It just wouldn't work.
Do you know what percentage positive, negative you do or not?
I think I've changed. When I first got the job, it was really before the internet was such a big deal. It was before comment sections were a big deal. It was before everybody could go on social media and say whatever they wanted. So I always felt like back then you had a staff of objective reporters. I don't like the word objective, but you get what I'm saying. You had a staff of objective reporters and you had 1 or 2 columnists who had the license to write opinion. The beat writers weren't going to rip the people they were covering on a daily basis, and they weren't supposed to. It's not their job. So it almost fell to you as a columnist to be the person who was going to take the tough shot, who was going to write the hard column. Mm-hmm. It was really the job. And you didn't do it, again, you didn't do it every day. You didn't write things you didn't believe. But if anybody in the staff was going to say, hey, I think Tom Thibodeau should be fired, it was going to be the columnist. Now, in this day and age, I think now everybody can just be as negative and as reactive as they want to. Everybody has that format.
Right.
So I think the value in column writing now is just being a voice of reason. I just think we don't have enough people who are invested in being the voice of reason. So I would rather be accused of being soft or or too positive. As long as I'm writing something I believe, I don't care whether it's considered positive or negative.
It's interesting because I say I'm apolitical. I'm an independent. I glide above the political fray, and I don't. I rarely talk politics except to say I'm an independent. But I do like people in the middle. I call it calm and level-headed, and I don't like the malcontents. But in sports writing, it's obviously entertaining when someone rips somebody if they do it in a clever way.
Right. There's got to be more to it than you just calling somebody a name.
Right. Like D'Lo, it would be fun to write it. D'Lo's into D'Lo. Like just saying D'Lo's into D'Lo more than getting back on defense. There you go. You criticized him, and because now I should say I have not read all your columns recently. So if there's a question I have here that you said, Greg, I've just covered that whole thing because I had Ryan Russillo on, who's a friend of mine, but I don't necessarily listen to his pod, and I said, I can't stand Trae Young. Do you have an opinion on Trae Young? He goes, didn't you see my last 3 podcasts? He's hunting fouls. And
don't worry. I don't expect you or anybody to read all my columns. So just fire away.
Here's something I am going to tell you though. This is entertaining. I said to myself, when I first meet John Krasinski, I'm going to tell him where I disagreed with him. And it was on the Blair Walsh thing. I wanted Zimmer to cut him after the game in the locker room after he missed the field goal. And John was Mr. Compassionate. Oh, I wish Zim would have put his arm around him and been a little more supportive. So here's my question to you. Has anyone told you were a little hard on Ricky Rubio?
John Krasinski has told me I was a little hard on Ricky Rubio.
John and I love Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, well, John had sleepovers with Ricky Rubio. Yeah, I think he has a Ricky Rubio tattoo on his ass. So John's told me that. A lot of people told me. Listen, and here's and again, I was probably a little harder on people like Ricky back then than I would be now. I'd probably be a little more subtle, but I kind of got annoyed by the whole Ricky Rubio thing. It was like, oh, he's a nice guy and he throws pretty passes, and I'm like, you know what? If he ever took one off season and just worked on his shooting, if Ricky Rubio had just, because every offseason he'd go back and he'd play for Team Spain, and he would just do the things he was already good at and stay in shape and be a good teammate. And all those things are true. He's a wonderful guy in a lot of ways. I was always like, this guy's so close to being really impactful.
Right.
If this guy could hit an open, if this guy could shoot the 3-pointer or hit an open shot in the lane when people are laying off of him, he would transform his own game and his team's game. And he just never worked out his shot. That bugged me. Right. And it also kind of bugged me that people just fell for him just because they thought he was like, cute or clever. And I was like, God, he's just so close to being really good. And I just know he's not going to get there.
Right. Well, I assume he worked on his shot, just like Shaq and Wilt Chamberlain worked on their free throws. Well, maybe Wilt didn't, but he could not shoot. And what I liked was he didn't shoot much. And it was unfortunate in the fourth quarter because they would sag off of him.
Yes.
But what I liked was, obviously I'm a big fan of passing. I love guys that can pass. Arvydas Sabonis, Larry Bird, all these, Jason Kidd, Steve Nash. So Ricky could pass, and he stole the ball. I was always surprised. Wow, he stole the ball. He would steal the ball. I go, how does he do this? These NBA players, they can't figure out that Ricky's going to steal it. He played good defense, and he looked a little like Pistol Pete.
Well, that is very true. And I do give him full credit. He was an excellent defender.
Yeah.
He was an excellent defender. He was a good teammate. He played hard. He was an excellent passer. I just always felt like, I knew people around the Timberwolves, and they said the same thing. It's like, God, if you would just go work on his shot for 3 months, he'd come back and we could really do something. And he also, I felt like he probably could hit the weights a little harder. It's an incredible NBA is so underrated. What a physical league it is. Right. And I just always felt like Ricky was very satisfied being Ricky Rubio, and I just always wanted a little bit more.
In your defense, he was replaced at the Timberwolves by Jeff Teague, replaced Utah by Mike Conley, and replaced at Phoenix by Chris Paul.
I think he's that kind of a player. He's like, you want him, and then you have him, and you're like, we can probably do a little better.
Okay, here we go. You were at the game. You were in Detroit. And sadly, I was at the Charger game here in L.A. And I just couldn't believe how bad the defense was. So first question, how does the defense, what do they do? How did they change and become that good on defense after blowing it against the Chargers?
I think there are a number of factors involved. First of all, they played the Eagles on that Sunday, and the Eagles are a very physical team, and they poured themselves into that game and thought they had a chance to win.
Right.
And I think they were beat up physically and kind of exhausted. Then they're home for 2 days, and they're flying to Los Angeles.
Right.
And then they're playing, and the Chargers are a very physical team. And back then they had their offensive line, and I just don't think they were ready for that game for whatever. And I'm not going to make excuses for them. You can make they weren't ready physically for that game. And you saw how they got worn down as the game went on.
Yeah.
And Vidal, who did nothing yesterday, eventually just started getting 7 yards of carry on that defense. Also, that defensive front, which they spent a lot of money on, had a terrible season up until yesterday.
Yeah.
Then Blake Cashman had just gotten back. So I think difference between short week flying to Los Angeles, head in your hands, emotionally beat up, physically beat up, versus 10 days preparing to play a team that you know very well, getting the emotional lift of getting JJ McCarthy back, getting the physical lift of getting JJ McCarthy back because he's better than Carson Wentz. Blake Cashman being at his best. He was the best player in the field in Detroit.
When he got hurt, somebody said, "Oh, you should see how statistically the Vikings defense suffers when he doesn't play."
Yes.
Now, when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, one guy can make that much of a difference. Yes. But we also
last year their defense was absolutely dominant. Blake Cashman got hurt, and all of a sudden, every pass is going over the middle, and other teams are running the ball right up the middle.
Yeah.
He makes a massive difference.
Wow. And Van Ginkel was back yesterday.
And he makes a massive difference. They missed him so much. You saw that one, the wide receiver screen. He almost jumped it for a pick six. He's just so intuitive. He's intuitive. He's quick. He's strong. He gets to the point of contact. And, of course, one of the reasons it's such a marked difference when he's out is Dallas Turner is none of those things. Dallas Turner's a first-round pick who hasn't figured any of it out. Van Ginkel has the game wired.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. It's early. It's very early. I think I'm pulling for JJ McCarthy. I think he has something special. We can call it the it factor. Maybe I'm just hoping that. Where are you at right now after 3 games with JJ McCarthy?
I'm kind of in love. And I've been covering I came to the town in 1990 to cover the Vikings. I covered the Dallas Cowboys. I came up here, and I've covered a million different quarterbacks, and a lot of them have been really good. I mean, Randall Cunningham had the great year. They had Rich Gannon before he was Rich Gannon. They had Brad Johnson before he went and won a Super Bowl. They've had good quarterbacks. They just never had a young quarterback who they could really build their franchise around. Dante Culpepper came close, but then he and Childress hated each other, and he blew out his knee and didn't rehab it right. I mean, so this is an opportunity to have what everybody wants: young quarterback, talent, charisma, leadership. You can build your entire franchise around him. He's got to play well for us to feel good about that, right? Yesterday, I thought he was brilliant, and he was physically tough. He was mentally tough. He threw incredible fastballs. Then he wins the game on the last third down with a beautiful touch pass. And I wrote about it today. I said, listen, it wasn't about the stats. The stats were okay. It was big plays, guts, charisma. And then if you're around, I don't know him very well, but if you're around him at all, you just see this positive vibe that isn't manufactured. He stays, like the Vikings have been going crazy because they were accused of a soft benching, pretending McCarthy had an injury, which is all stupid BS. But it was hard to disprove. It's like most conspiracy theories exist because it's hard to disprove them. And McCarthy, and I think O'Connell got ticked off. I think the entire organization got ticked off. There's been a really sour atmosphere around that team for a few weeks. McCarthy has stayed above it all. He's just a nice kid. He's a nice kid who loves football. And to see him play the way he did in Detroit, to me, made this whole thing worth watching.
You said great passer. You said charismatic. It reminds me of change your face. Enjoy Ricky Rubio. I'm just kidding.
And neither of them play defense.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. Rubio played defense.
No. Okay. So this is what I did. I am agreeing with you. I think he's special. I actually thought everyone said, oh, he played pretty well yesterday. I thought he played really well, just like what you said. Forget the stats, because there were a couple. I'm going to get to my big pet peeve with the Vikings and KOC in a second, but he got rid of the ball. He didn't get sacked. He got sacked 3 times, but he was going to get clobbered, and he threw it. I think it was to Aaron Jones, and he ran for first down. But I thought he played great. Now, here's the weird thing I'm doing, because I like to have fun, and I have a friend who's a Bears fan. I have a couple Bears fans, and I want to say them, but I'm just going to ask you. In the long run, who would you rather have, JJ McCarthy or Caleb Williams?
Oh, McCarthy. No question.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I thought
it might be close.
I thought it might be an irresponsible question, but I do think that Caleb Williams might be missing something. And let me just say, I knew Sam Darnold was athletic and could throw, but what he did in the last 2 games at Detroit and against the Rams in the playoffs, he froze up. He tightened. I'm not going to say choked. I don't do that. He held the ball. Yeah. He held the ball too long. I don't think JJ McCarthy in that situation, he might not win,
right?
But he's going to go down swinging, which means throwing. So you actually think JJ is going to have a better career than Caleb Williams?
I don't trust Caleb. I know the talent's there. And he had a big game against the Bengals. Everybody has a big game against the Bengals. But if you watch them week to week up until the Bengals just let them do whatever they want on Sunday, it was like, I remember, I think it was against the Commanders or whichever. There's a national televised game recently, Bears, maybe Commanders. I watched it. I think it was because the Vikings didn't have a Sunday game. And the announcers kept saying, boy, Ben Johnson's doing this with Caleb, and Caleb loves Ben. And they were repeating all the narratives they hear when they go do the interviews on Saturday, without thinking. Just, and they're, and I'm like, oh my God, Caleb must be playing great. I wonder when the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is. And I looked at the scoreboard. The Bears had scored 6 points, and they're about to get just hammered in a loss. It's like the narrative,
right?
We can't ever let narratives overcome reality.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is a talented guy who has a chance of being good, but to me, he always wants to make the spectacular play instead of the routine play. And I don't know if he's ever going to get away from that. So I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback or he's going to be a terrible quarterback. I just don't trust him that he's ever going to really develop into the kind of quarterback you really want.
I like that. Now, let me pinpoint JJ. There's some accuracy issues, in my opinion, with some of his throws. Like he's throwing behind people. That's why the one got picked. Very close call, but he got picked. Some of the throws he's very good at, but some of them he's the accuracy's not there. Now, not everybody can be as accurate as Drew Brees and certain people. Is that something he can improve on? I assume it's yes, right?
I think so. And because I think his good throws, it reminds me of something Bill Walsh said after he drafted Joe Montana. Joe Montana, pretty good college quarterback in Notre Dame, but not, 3rd round draft pick, right?
Right.
And he might have gone to the 4th round if Bill Walsh hadn't taken him. And I think Walsh at the time said, I look at what the good things he does, and I know I can get him to do that over and over and over. I have something. He didn't even care about the bad plays, right? Well, I think that's where McCarthy is as a young quarterback. You watched the 4th quarter against the Bears. You watched the 1st quarter against the Lions yesterday. You watched the winning plays down the stretch, and you do see accuracy. I mean, the touchdown pass he threw to Jefferson, it couldn't have been
that
6
was
inches
perfect.
any direction.
Yes, yeah.
The pass down the left side, sliding at Addison should have caught for a touchdown. Couldn't have been any better thrown. The touchdown to Hawkinson couldn't have been any better thrown. So I think sometimes I don't think he's used to having a pass rush in his face. And I think he doesn't know what to do with his feet in that situation or when to bail out. And I think that affects his accuracy. I think also sometimes he overthinks things like most young quarterbacks. But his good throws are good enough that I think you can coach him out of the bad throws.
Do you have any problems with Kevin O'Connell? And I can't wait to tell you mine, but I want to see if you have any first. What are your issues with Kevin O'Connell?
I just think, like most gifted offensive coaches, sometimes they overthink things. I mean, I think there's a play early in the Chargers game. I'm guessing it was like a 3rd and 1. He's got Jordan Mason in the backfield. The whole reason they signed Jordan Mason and Will Fries and all these guys is so they could power run when they needed to. They have beat up Carson Wentz at quarterback. you should just run the ball. Run the ball, get the first down, keep the sticks moving. And he tried some intricate pass play that went nowhere. So I just think that given a choice, Kevin would rather have 8 receivers running around, screening each other with the quarterback throwing, at exactly the right time to exactly the right guy than just go run the ball for 2 yards. And that can get you in trouble sometimes. Of course, I'll also, in his defense, it works a lot. When he has the right players on the field, his stuff works a lot. But I just think most good offensive coaches sometimes just fall too much in love with their schemes.
Yeah. Initially, everyone was, you got to run the ball more. And then he said in the offseason, you're right. Yep. We're going to beef up the offensive line. We're going to run it more, have more of a balance, a marriage between run and pass. Here's my specific issue with the pass. So I'm not a huge fan of the quarterback getting sacked. And we've had a bad offensive line. I thought they always had a bad offensive line. So Pat Shurmur, Sam Bradford would throw underneath the sticks and be infuriating, but he wouldn't get sacked, hoping that the running back or tight end or receiver could somehow break it and get a first down. Get rid of the ball. Aaron Rodgers, get rid of the ball. Get rid of the ball. So Carson Wentz goes 9 for 9 at the end of the game, short passes out in 2 seconds or whatever it is. 9 straight, wins the game. And afterwards, Kevin O'Connell's like, well, you can't always march down and do 12 to 15 plays. You got to have a big chunk play. And I'm like, no. You can, once in a while you can try it. But if the offensive line is not holding up, get the ball out. Shorter routes, shorter passes. That's what drives me up the wall. These long routes, intricate routes, until our offensive line proves they can do it. What do you think of that?
I agree with you. I also think that any philosophical thing we say about offense can be a trap too. It's like, you look at Chiefs before they got Rashee Rice back, before they got Xavier Worthy healthy. They were, over the last year and a half, with the great Patrick Mahomes and a great tight end, and they were getting stifled offensively because they didn't threaten anybody deep. So I think you always have to be able to threaten people deep to loosen things up. You don't necessarily need to hit that play, but you need to have the defense fear that play. Otherwise, they can bring 11 people close to the line of scrimmage. It's going to make it harder to run the ball, which means they're going to have 2 people tackling the receiver when he catches the ball. You do have to have the threat of the long pass, even if you don't actually hit it.
Right. And what I'm saying is do it once in a while. So if you have 12 plays, do it at least once to loosen the defense, or why not convert it like the Philadelphia Eagles do, Of
course, the Eagles, before they played the Vikings, were not converting those plays.
I know. It's crazy. Wait, there was one other thing. Oh, I think we all disagree on this. I'm sure you wrote a column about it. I didn't see it. I just want you to know I would have gone with Aaron Rodgers for one season. JJ can sit another year because I'm fascinated by his throwing motion, his quick release. I'm assuming, as an opinionated columnist, you loathe Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I loathe Aaron Rodgers. I'm so glad they didn't bring him here. Aaron Rodgers, and this is.
Did you write a column about that?
Oh, I've only 18 of them or something. And here's the thing about Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers actually perfect for him. Established head coach. He's not going to feel like he gets to be the boss. Traditional organization. And what I'm shocked by is I thought the Steelers were going to carry Rodgers, and to date, it's really been the opposite. Rodgers has been much better than expected. He's played great. The Steelers, until this weekend, looked horrible. So I was wrong about that. Rodgers has been good so far, although I still do think that the reason you get Aaron Rodgers if the Steelers is to get you a playoff victory. And unless he does that, they're basically going to have the same kind of season they have every year, no matter who the quarterback is. I think if you're going to trade up, take somebody with the 10th pick in the draft, he's got to play. He's got to play. And the way they've structured their roster, they use the fact that they were planning on a very affordable starting quarterback meant that they go spend all the money they've spent in veteran free agency, which they needed to because the drafts have been terrible. So I just think the way they put this whole thing together, McCarthy's got to play. And I feel much better about having said that a million times after the way he played yesterday.
Yes. So the thing about Aaron Rodgers, like Tom Brady says, he's the best passer of all time as far as the motion or the release Tom Brady says he's more talented than I am.
Sure.
I have a theory that guys that are that talented are sometimes fascinated with their talent and
Yes,
don't do the little things. Don't do the 4th and inches. Tom Brady's going to get the 4th and inches. But what I couldn't believe with Rodgers is he lost 2 playoff games at home at Lambeau. One was to Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. I can't remember the other team, but I don't know how you lose those home playoff games. That tarnishes his legacy. So I like him, but I think he underachieved as far as winning some big games.
Oh, no question about it. And look at the Packers. They had Favre and Rodgers for basically 30 years. They won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Now, the back and forth between Packer and Vikings fans. Packers fans would ridicule any Viking fan who said something like that because they have 2 and the Vikings have none. But when you have 2 of the greatest ever, Brett Favre is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Aaron Rodgers is better than Brett Favre.
Exactly.
And he won 1 Super Bowl and he choked in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think there's something missing with Aaron Rodgers because he is as good a quarterback in terms of talent, versatility, quick release, accuracy, mobility.
Yeah.
He's as good as anybody I've ever seen. And he should have won more big games.
Another one of my favorite quarterbacks, quick release, never won, Dan Marino.
And Dan's, I covered the NFL for a long time, and I remember going down and talking to some of the Dolphins coaches. And one time the Vikings were about to play the Dolphins, and they're like, this is like Shula and Gary. Oh, who was his quarterback's coach? He had a famous quarterback's coach. I'm blanking on the names. I'm old. And they're just telling me nobody's better than Danny. It's like, yeah, they're better guys. They're better athletes. There are people who can move better. He said, nobody's ever thrown the ball like Dan Marino. And I kind of believe him.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot to ask you this at the top. Where are you from?
I was an Air Force brat. I've moved all over the place, lived in Okinawa, Texas, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, St. Louis, Texas again. Went to school in Missouri, went high school in St. Louis for 3 years. Came up here in 1990 to cover the Vikings. I'd never lived anywhere more than like 3 years in a row until I moved here. Now I've been here 36 years. It's very strange for me.
Wow. And you went to what? You went to Missouri as in University of the Tigers?
Yes.
A very good journalism school.
People tell me that. I only went to one, so I can't really compare it.
Norm Stewart was in my living room in Hastings, Minnesota.
I covered Norm Stewart.
Yeah. He recruited me.
Norm wanted to kill me.
I was going to say I could have gone there and sat on the bench instead of Montana State. But anyway, I would not have scored 20, which I did once in Montana State. Why did Norm want to kill you?
Because I've covered all levels of sports. I prefer covering pro sports because it's all out in the open. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to promote their career. I'm cool with it. Everybody has their ambitions right there on the table. Everybody knows what they're playing for in terms of financial compensation. College has always been just so everything's so hypocritical, and the programs are these fiefdoms. The coach is king and gets to lord over everybody. And I actually got along well with Norm for like half a season. Then some story broke. My editor said, hey, you got to go chase down a couple of players on campus to get their comments. I did that. Norm was like, you went and talked to my players without checking with me first. I'm never talking to you again. I'm like, okay, wasn't that good anyway.
Let's talk a little Wolves, and then coming up, Jim Souhan's top 5 movies of all time. Looking forward to that. My concern with the Wolves, I don't know. Do you get to see every game, watch them on television, or
I watch all the games. I go to a certain percentage. Certainly once the Vikings are done, I covered a lot more of them. This time of year, I'm not out there as much, but yeah, I watch all of them.
So I enjoyed watching them beat Charlotte. I thought they had some good moments there, especially in the second half. One of my big concerns is how much does Rudy have left in the tank? I'm not as concerned about Mike Conley because I kind of don't think he has a lot left in the tank, but I love Mike Conley. And I think he'll make some clutch shots in the playoffs if we are fortunate to make the playoffs again, which I think we will. What do you think about Rudy? What does he have left?
And by the way, everybody loves Mike Conley. He's one of the most universally respected and admired athletes I've ever been around. He's just a wonderful guy. And Rudy's a nice guy too, but
in a different way.
Very different. Rudy's odd.
Yes.
Rudy is a nice person, but he's also an odd person.
I think he's into crystals, which is okay. I don't pass judgment.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that is, but yeah, it's, he is very dedicated to his craft. I'll say that. Yeah. Although, once again, if Rudy would spend an off season like doing what baseball players and receivers do, and like get a jugs gun and just spend a winter catching the ball,
yeah,
he'd immediately score 6 more points a game and get 2 more rebounds a game.
Yeah,
he'd be unbelievable. Rudy, I do worry about. I think he's looked a little creaky, a little uncertain at times, and he plays a lot better when Mike Conley's on the court, and Mike Conley can't always be on the court with him anymore.
Right.
So I am concerned with him. He really does hold the defense together. They really don't have another. I think Berenger is going to be great someday, but he's probably not ready for this yet. And they don't really have another rim protector. So I am worried about Gobert.
Instead of me telling you my other concerns, what are your concerns about the Wolves? Not too long of a list. We don't have all day, but what you said,
it was a very logical thing to let Nickeil Alexander-Walker go and to promote Terrence Shannon Jr. Right. And it's a very popular move too. Now Terrence isn't playing that great on offense. I think he will, but he's not playing. It's not as simple as everybody wanted it to be. You plug it in, all of a sudden he's a 15-point off the bench guy. It's just not that simple. I still like him, and I love what he brings, the way he plays offense. But what you're missing now is a defensive stopper off the bench who's basically another Jaden McDaniels,
right?
And was better than anybody on the roster at getting through screens and anticipating passes and playing perimeter defense. And I think they miss him more than they expected to. They miss him kind of more than I expected them to.
I have an answer for that one.
Okay.
Jalen Clark. Thank God.
He's my favorite player. I love Jalen Clark.
I watched him the other day. I go, okay, this guy has to be on the court more than, he just changes everything. He changes the whole thing.
He's a much better offensive player than I thought he was.
Yeah. Yeah. He missed a couple threes. He thinks he wants to shoot 40 from threes, which I would love, but he works on it, but he's a special player. So the guy that I fluctuate on, I was pulling for him, then I kind of gave up. I know I'm being too premature here, but I like Rob Dillingham. He did play well the other night. So I just pull for him when he plays well. He's so diminutive. I don't care what they list him at. But he played well. So I'm just going to not overreact and hope he's so cat quick. I just love the speed that he brings to it. But you saw the Charlotte game. I thought he played pretty well.
I thought he played pretty well. I think he's still struggling with shot selection, and he has not realized that when he goes inside in half the offense, the ball's going to end up hitting an usher.
Yeah, he's getting swatted all the time.
Yes.
Did you see his hook shot that he made? The kind of the layup hook. There's one. I was like, oh, that's good. Dude, I didn't know he had that, but that was good.
So recently I wrote that, Dillingham might end up being the first true miss by Tim Connolly in his time here. And I'm not saying Dillingham can't play at all, but he went up and got him. And when at a time when he had no assets, he found assets to go get Dillingham at 8 or whatever. Dillingham's got to be a player, and I'm not writing him off, but it's not looking great right now.
Right. And I've said on the podcast here, and I apologize again. I didn't see all the columns. I'm a busy man.
It's okay.
I don't
even read all my columns.
I've got friends. They're one's the executive producer and head writer, Alex Salkin of Family Guy, and then Goldie, Julia Sharp. He writes on Family Guy. They're my buddies from my late night show. And Alex says to me a number of years ago, "Can you watch Family Guy? Tell me what you think." And I watched one episode. I said, "This is so funny. It's so many jokes." And you could say Christopher Columbus, and then you're on the Santa Maria and you're doing things. The freedom you guys have. Excellent show. And that's the only episode I watched. But I identified it as a wonderful show. Why am I watching Family Guy when I can be watching a rerun of Frasier, is what I tell them. Anyway, so yeah, Rob Dillingham, I have said that I think we're still a point guard or a star or a superstar away from winning a championship. And he could be a guy that we put in a trade package at the trade deadline. I don't know who the guard is. It doesn't have to be a guard, but I like point guards. And as people have pointed out, the NBA now doesn't have the true point guard, the Chris Paul types or Steve Nash. There are all these What's the guy that we like that was on Sacramento that's on San Antonio? De'Aaron Fox. So he's a scoring guy, but he would be great for us, I assume, playing with
San Antonio ain't giving him up. San Antonio thinks they might win something this year.
Yeah. And I haven't followed. Is the guy from Rutgers playing the number 2 pick? He's on San Antonio, the guard. I don't know his name.
I know what you're talking about. I anytime I watch San Antonio, I just watch Wembanyama. I don't care who else on the court.
Right.
But that team is on its way. These Wembanyama is something we've never seen before.
Do you think the Wolves are one player away, or do you think they can win with this team?
I feel like with this team, we're looking at another playoff run, but not to the NBA Finals. I just don't see them getting through West with what they have right now. Right. I think they are a trade away. I don't know who it is. The cool thing about having Tim Connolly in town is it could be somebody we think they have no chance of getting.
Right. Yeah.
It could be Giannis. It could be somebody incredible.
Right.
He's going to take the big swing, which I love. And even if he misses once in a while, you still got to admire the guts and the ambition. I think they're one deal away from being championship level.
If they got Giannis, that would change things dramatically. Yes. And I do remember hearing about that. And you're right. Tim Connolly would do that. Ladies and gentlemen, we wrap it up now with Jim Souhan's top 5 movies of all time. I'm very curious to hear this because and I'll give you my list later. But I want to hear yours first. I want to see if there's an overlap, not just with me, but with others I've had on the show. Like Jim Pete was on and he gave a really good list.
No, I ask him what his list is. And by the way, you're going to come on one of my podcasts someday.
Yes.
And we're going to do top 5 television shows of all time because I'm much more into serial TV than I am movies these days.
You ever watched Bosch?
I love Bosch. Yes.
Love Bosch. Titus Welliver. Love
Bosch. Fantastic. And the books are good too, but I actually this is one of the situations where I prefer the TV show to the books.
LAPD says it's the most realistic cop show.
Yeah, I think they nail it. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
All right. This is not me being film critic saying these are the greatest films of all time. These are my favorite of all time. There's a difference. Godfather 2.
It's very good.
It's my number 1.
It's very
Godfather.
Good. Oh, you're doing an order, by the way, right?
Yeah. This is top to bottom.
Okay.
So Godfather 2 is my favorite. Godfather is my second favorite. Casablanca is my third. Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I say that because it surprised me because I was not a fantasy guy. I didn't read Tolkien growing up, but I read enough Tolkien to realize it would be really hard to do movies out of that stuff. And I was just blown away with what they did with it. And then because I'm such a music guy, The Last Waltz.
Oh, sadly, I have not seen 2 of those movies, and I apologize.
Which ones?
The last 2.
I mean, Lord of the Rings, I'm not going to go tell you to watch it if that's not your kind of thing. The Last Waltz, if you care about anything about American music, you have to watch The Last Waltz.
Now, what is that? Who's in that?
That's the band. It's the Farewell.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. That's a. And
Scorsese shot it.
Yeah. So that would be a documentary.
And I can't stop watching it.
Okay, I don't have an order, and I rotate my 5th one just because if I really wanted to have my top 5, I would just name a second Hitchcock movie. But I always say North by Northwest, but there are a bunch I like. I like all the Hitchcock movies.
Yeah,
Strangers on a Train, Shadow of a Doubt. A lot of people haven't seen with Joseph Cotten. Just rewatch Psycho, Vertigo, the whole thing.
Rear Window, I loved.
Yeah, my brother loves Rear Window. Not a lot of movement there.
It's very stale.
Like rope. It's like a play.
Yeah.
Sunset Boulevard.
That's a great movie, especially if you live in LA, man.
I know, totally. Wait, what was I going to say? Your list, by the way, your top 3 are high on the AFI list. Most of mine are in the AFI list, but they're not in the top. They're not in the top 10. Well, some of them, one of them might be. I don't know. Okay, so Sunset Boulevard, Chinatown.
Great movie.
Why am I forgetting? Let's see. What did I just do? 3. I'm forgetting. The Graduate. Love The Graduate.
I almost put The Graduate in my top 5. The Graduate was the first movie that blew me away.
Yeah. And then I rotate the 5th. I just have something I like I'll say Sideways because I like that. I've said Tootsie in the past because I liked that as a comedy back when I was in college. But what I'm going to put on there now is one I rewatched that's grown on me from the 70s. It's Robert Redford, 3 Days of the Condor.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Isn't that great? Every time I say that to people, they go, "That's a great movie."
Great movie.
It's my favorite Redford movie, even though I know it's not supposed to be his best. But I just,
oh no, that was fantastic.
I love espionage.
I love espionage. I read most of my books. A lot of the books I read have something to do with espionage. So John le Carre was my favorite. I
was going to say John le Carre.
I just love his stuff.
My brother loves John le Carre.
Now Mick Herron is like my new favorite author, so I love that stuff. And by the way, I'll give you an addendum here. If I were forced to put a sports movie in my top 5, it would be Bull Durham.
Okay. Yeah. I would say I would choose Spike Lee says it's the worst basketball movie of all time. I would say Robbie Benson 1-on-1.
Robbie Benson 1-on-1. That's incredible.
I'm
wow.
kidding.
I thought you were going to say Hoosiers or something.
No, I'm kidding. I'm doing a joke about 1-on-1.
That's very good.
I just like to do it because it's some people have seen it. I saw it at a drive-in in Park Cottage Grove with a friend of mine named Greg Malbin, who became Greg Thunder and was married to Eleanor Mondale. And every time at the end of the game, he would score.
Name dropping right now.
Yeah, he would honk the horn at the drive-in whenever Robbie Benson was scoring because we were in high school. We were very immature.
Like we're mature now. Come on.
Exactly. No, but my brother loves John le Carre, and one of my dad's favorite actors is Richard Burton. And there's a le Carre film called The Spy Who Came In From the Cold.
Yep, that was le Carre's really first hit novel.
Oh, interesting. Do you ever see The Night Manager?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Love it.
So good.
I think sometimes I see a movie or a television show and I say, okay, Hugh Laurie, that's where he's at his best. He'll never be. I tried to watch House afterwards because I didn't watch it. I go, he's not using he's not doing his British accent, his real voice. I don't want to watch this.
No. I mean, House is fine, but his work in The Night Manager is stunning.
Dickie Roper, the most evil man in the world.
Oh, so good.
Thank you, Jim. That was fun.
Enjoyed it, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
We'll have you back when the Vikes are in the Super Bowl. No, we'll have you back before then. And I'll have you on again this season to talk Vikes and Timberwolves. And I'm going to read some columns. I'm going to prepare next.
Give me some tips.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, buddy. We'll see you soon.
That's our show. We'll see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.